Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to talk about what I've read this week and what I'm looking to read next week. I've read 4 books and 1 graphic novel this week, and I'm a little way through another book. So let's get to those. The first book I read this week is part of the BookTube Reading Buddies group read, and it is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Normally I am not really into long descriptions of landscapes and scenery. I'm not really into that type of language. I'm much more of an action-packed, fast-paced read. But there's something about John Steinbeck's writing that really engages you and feels like you are moving at quite a pace. Even though he's describing scenery and setting, he's transporting you through hundreds of years and hundreds of people and places and times, all within a number of pages. It's almost like watching those videos that are made with hundreds of thousands of photos where you watch a plant grow and bloom and it's all within seconds, but obviously it's been taken over a number of years. And I feel like that's what his writing, especially in the beginning when he's setting the scene, does for me. It feels like you are fast forwarding through a massive, epically long journey and time space, but only within a few pages. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me anyway. This story is about the Trasks and the Hamiltons. The Trasks family consists of 2 brothers who have different mothers but with the same father, and the Hamiltons have 9 children and hail from Ireland, and they are all with the same parents. The stories in this book mirror Bible stories, I believe. The fall of Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. Steinbeck makes some really insightful comments in his writing about cultures and the feeling they have for outsiders, and I really enjoyed that. I gave this book ultimately 4 stars. The reason I didn't give it 5 stars is it was just a little slow moving for me personally. I felt like the plot could have moved along a little bit quicker. It was over 700 pages, and I thought perhaps it could have been done within sort of 500, 600 pages. So that's the only reason I dropped it a star, and that is really a personal taste for me. I just like something a little bit faster moving, but the story was brilliant and Steinbeck's writing's amazing. The last time I read Steinbeck was when I was at school and I read Mice of Men. I remember that being a really good story and it has stuck with me. It's one of those stories that I can still remember the plot to, but I haven't picked up any of his books since, and I really enjoyed this, and I'm thinking possibly I might pick up Greatsworth's Wrath later next year when I'm feeling like something a bit like this. The next book I read was a bit of a surprise really. I picked it up because I'd seen a lot of booktubers received it for books on my bag, and that is the Bookshop Back by Jen Campbell. It's a non-fiction book about 300 bookshops around the world, but it's just so much more than that. It talks about bookshops, it talks about the histories, it talks about their owners, it's got interviews with authors about their favourite bookshops and books as they were growing up. It's got facts and pictures, and I can't praise this book enough. I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It's a brilliant book. I just wanted to read you my favourite fact from it. Right, hold on to your hats because this is my favourite fact. It's a bit gruesome, but I think it's brilliant. Anthropodermic bibliopegy is the art of binding books in human skin. Father Henry Garnet, who was part of the 1605 gunpowder plot to blow up the Houses of Parliament, was sentenced to death by being drawn and quartered, after which the skin from his face was used to bind the book that listed the crimes against him. That is just amazing. Yuck. But what an amazing fact. Something I didn't know, something that stuck with me, something that was really interesting. Yeah, I loved this book. I really think if you love bookshops and you love books, you should read it and have it, and it's definitely going to be influencing some of my holidays in the future. The next book I read was part of a buddy reads on Goodreads, and that is The Queen of the Teeling by Erica Johansson. I'm reading this with a group of people for BookTube Reading Buddies. It's a buddy read. I was disappointed by this book. I ultimately gave it 3 stars. At the beginning I was struggling to get halfway through. I didn't feel like much was happening. There wasn't much to engage me in the plot. The story is about how England and America have left their homeland, moved somewhere new, and sort of not brought any technology with them, so it's kind of like Dark Ages. There's meant to be magic, but Kelsey has lived in this sort of cottage with her 2 adoptive parents her whole life. She knows that she's due to be the queen. Her mother is the queen. When her mother dies, she has to take the throne. One day when she's 19, the King's Guards come to get her, and that's where the story really begins. It just felt, it was quite predictable. It didn't really go very far, and it was a shame because I felt like there was a lot of potential here, and maybe further on in the series there will be, but for such a beautiful book, it just was a disappointing read, and I won't be continuing in the series. So after that, I felt like I needed something that I knew I was going to love, and so I picked up volume 6 of Amulet by Kazu Kibushi. This is called Escape from Lucian. I love this story, I love this book. It's a real just take me away, straight back into it story. I won't talk much about this book because obviously it's part in a series, it's number 6. But the plot threads are great. I love all of the characters. It's just a really, really good graphic novel comic series. And then finally this week I read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Readathon. This is part of a Percy Jackson read-along group on Goodreads that I've joined. I've never read the series, and I recently won the Heroes of Olympus box set, which hasn't arrived yet, but when it does I will show you. And so I wanted to read the rest of the books before that, so I picked up this and decided to do it as a read-along because I thought that'd be quite fun. I love this book. It's a great story. It's an easy read. I got through it in a day. I know it's aimed at a lot younger than me, tens and tens of years younger than me, but I don't think that matters. It's a good story. I love Greek mythology. It was interesting enough to read. Percy at the beginning of the story is a boy at school. He's got the knack of getting kicked out and getting into trouble, and as the story progresses we find out that he is the demigod. He's the son of Poseidon, and it's a great story, and I gave it 4 stars. I'm currently reading Lagoon by Nnedi Okorafor. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'll talk a bit more about this in my next week's wrap up because I haven't read an awful lot of it yet, so I don't really want to talk too much about it. And now for the books that I'm planning on reading next week. If you want to know them in any more detail, then go and look at my anti-bullying readathon TBR video. That's in my videos about a week ago, but I'm just going to hold the books up and show you. I'm taking part in the readathon, which is the 17th to the 23rd of November. We're going to be reading books that contain some form of bullying within them, so these are the books that I've picked. Please Stop Laughing at Me, One Woman's Inspirational Story, Jodie Blanco. Shine by Lauren Miracle. The Truth About Alice by Jennifer Matthew. The Traitor Game by B.R. Collins. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alircien. Hate List by Jennifer Brown. And Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, which is on my Kindle. So anyway, that's the books that I've read this week and what I'm planning to read for the readathon next week. What are you reading? Have you read any of these books? What are your thoughts? As always, I'd love to hear them, and I hope to speak to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.